All right, so today I am joined by Pablo Leon, queer fashion designer. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. So, as I said, you are a fashion designer, and your work will be showcased at the 2024 GARRAS fashion show. Is that how you say GARRAS?
Garras.
GARRAS. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna butcher that throughout this entire interview, so forgive me.
No worries.
But the show is on November 16th, presented by the TransLatin Coalition. So, can you begin by telling us more about this organization and its purpose?
Yeah, so the TransLatina Coalition, their purpose is to serve, some of the most underserved communities, which are trans people and trans people of color. I've known about the organization for a couple of years, and I attended their GARRAS fashion show last year, and I knew I wanted to be part of it. And it just so happens to be their 15th anniversary, so we're throwing a big quinceañera.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with them? I'm sorry, did you say that?
So I've known about the organization for a couple of years.
Okay.
And last year I attended their GARRAS fundraiser,
Mhm.
uh, and I knew I wanted to be a part of it. And so I reached out to them, and here we are today.
Awesome. Very nice.
Um,
So garage or I said garage. What?
no worries.
You're going to have to say that for me. Yes. So it stands for groundbreaking activism, redirecting and reforming all systems. And this annual fashion show isn't just a fundraising event; it's more like a movement. What can attendees usually expect?
Attendees can expect a lot of incredible fashion from queer designers,
Mhm.
both local in LA and out of town. Me, myself, I'm from Fresno. And so I'll be traveling down to LA to showcase some of my work in support of this organization, which I think is so important, especially, in times that can be a little bit more trying as we've recently experienced. And
Yeah.
so I'm really happy to be a part of this, and I think just a lot of fun. Is celebration of our culture, both as Latinos, Latinas,
Mhm.
and so in support of our community.
Yeah, definitely. That kind of segued into my next question. Like, yeah, how important would you say it is right now to celebrate and support transgender, nonconforming, and intersex communities, especially in today's political climate?
I think we've seen a lot of people trying to erase specifically trans and non-binary communities.
Mhm.
I think it's very important for us to come together at this time and really, really show up for those communities within our own community, right?
Mhm.
My brand was founded in 2016 after, the first round of the Trump candidacy. I felt myself that it was important to kind of like put myself out there. I We were being attacked both as queer people and myself as a Mexican. There were a lot of derogatory things said about Mexicans during that time.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to put, myself out there. I think in trying times, it's really important for us to create, artists. In trying times, it's important for artists to create. We inspire the world, and so I think now is the best time for us to come together and really, put our art out there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And proceeds from the fashion show directly support the TransLatin Coalition's essential programs. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Shayna, would you actually be able to direct
Yes,
this
I
a
can
little bit?
actually, sorry, I'm gonna just chime in because from an organization's perspective, and then maybe, Pablo can talk about like what his clothing brand and stuff,
Yeah.
but the organization, um, they have several initiatives from like a transition housing for the community, or they help with legal aid.
Mhm.
Um, what? Oh my gosh, there's so many. And then also they have a drop-in center in Los
Okay.
Angeles.
Okay.
So all of the ticket sales and stuff like that is going to the programs, and also the TransLatin Coalition is building a new center, and they're supposed to break ground next year. So the funds will be going to that as well. So that's from the organization perspective, and then I'll go back on mute.
Awesome, fantastic. Thank you, Shayna. Well, Pablo, what drew you specifically to fashion, and have you always wanted to pursue this as a career?
What drew me to fashion was I grew up in the Central Valley in Fresno. My family has been cultivating this land for years, you can say generations.
Mhm.
I was because my family was they were field workers. They were always out working. My aunt was a seamstress, and she would take care of my sister and I. Um, and she would allow me as a young boy to kind of play in this world, this world of like her like creating garments for other people. And that's where I first started. I actually started making clothes for my sisters and my cousins' Barbies.
Nice.
As a boy, I wasn't able to, or it felt that I couldn't play with the dolls. And so the next best thing was to create clothing for them. And I think since then, it's always something that I've had within me. I grew up with six sisters, and
Wow.
just watching them, get ready, they would all get ready together and just felt so inspired by them. So it's something that I've had since I was a child, and it's been very difficult, being in the Central Valley, so far removed from like the major fashion capitals of the United States,
Yeah.
but always trying to find a way, and I think that's the beauty of our culture, the resilience. We're
Mhm.
always able to find a way to kind of like pursue our dreams, whether it's, leaving your country to come to this country to
Yeah.
find a better life for your family, or like myself, already seeing myself in this country. Growing up undocumented was very difficult. I didn't really see a way for me to create a future, and thankfully things have changed since then.
Mhm.
But I've always looked to my sister and my sisters and my mom as inspiration to kind of always keep working towards something better. And since that young age, I've been pursuing this career as a fashion designer, and I'm really proud to say that I've been able to do that for myself. I've been able to present my own collection during New York Fashion Week, which was huge for me, a
Mhm.
queer, undocumented person showing on the stages of New York Fashion Week. At the time, I wasn't undocumented. I was able to get my green card, but still coming from that background, I think it's important for people to see that, especially young people to see that if people are trying to take that away from you,
Mhm.
um, we can still, and as a community supporting each other, in this specific case, supporting our trans siblings. Um, I think this is the most important thing, and that's why I'm so happy to be participating in GARRAS, and to be showing what we can do when
Yeah.
we come together.
Definitely. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Love it. And what is your label called? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so my label is called Him NYC. Again, it was started when I was living in NYC in New York City. I was working for at the time, one of the only Latino designers showing at New York Fashion Week,
Mhm.
Carlos Campos. And during that time, we were seeing all this like really ugly rhetoric. And so I created this brand. It's a mix of like masculine and feminine, kind of like bringing out all those things that we felt like we couldn't really show.
Mhm.
And I was just like, why not? Why can't we be true to who we are? Why
Yeah.
can't we wear, why can't we mix tailoring with like a little bit more femininity?
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Definitely. So, who or what do you often draw inspiration from?
Um, So my sisters are a huge inspiration for me,
Mm,
both in their own resilience and in their own uh, glamour, I guess you could say. We didn't have much growing up. I remember they would actually we would get bags of like trash bags full of clothing from local organizations that they were just trying to help out. And
mhm.
out of those bags of clothing, they would create, their own identity and their own glamour, I guess you can say. Um, and that to me is so inspiring. And also, another one of my huge inspirations is the singer Juan Gabriel,
Okay.
who not sure if you're familiar with him, but one of
Name sounds a little bit familiar.
yeah, one of the biggest names in in Mexican music, Spanish music. Um, he would go out in his shows wearing beautiful garments, full of like sequins and beading. And at that time, to be a person, an artist, man in Mexico who is going out on these stages with all these like people would say like feminine
Mhm,
clothing, it was kind of like looked down upon. And he would go out there and say, you know what, like this is who I am, and I'm
mhm.
going to show all of who I am. And people respected him for that.
Nice.
People looked past all of the like machismo, and they saw him for his true talent. And
Mhm,
that was a very talented person. And so I look to him for inspiration, both in like being able to push past, those gates
mhm,
to be who you really are, um, and do it in a way that is like really true to yourself.
mhm.
Um, so I always look to him for inspiration also.
Awesome, fantastic. And it's been great to see that more brands have begun catering to people who are trans, gender nonconforming, and just overall being gender inclusive. In what ways would you like to see the fashion industry improve even more to be representative?
Um, I think you're right. It has come a long way. And even though my brand is called Him NYC, I don't think there is any gender to my clothing.
Mhm.
It's always been, at least for myself, something that almost like the name kind of being like a clapback, I guess you can say,
Okay.
to those people that would be like, oh, like you don't dress like a man, you don't walk like a man, or whatever that could be. For me, it's always been like, yes, it's him, but it's like literally anybody. Anybody could be this person.
Yeah.
And it's also like when people would be like oh, like who's like this person, or who's the person that's like oh, like him, almost like questioning, but it's like, yes, it is me.
Yeah.
I think the fashion industry can, there's always when I worked in New York, there was always this thing about like checking all the boxes in your model casting, right?
Yeah.
But it's I think they can go a step further by like just eliminating those boxes, and really just including people without having to say like fill a quota, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So
Definitely, I agree. Well, what are some
yeah.
future goals you hope to accomplish with your career and platform?
Um I think for me, first of all, would be, in this showing that we're doing for GARRAS, I think the most important thing is just to show people that we're not going, like as queer people, we're not going anywhere. And when one of our communities is attacked, we are going to show up in full force and rally against them. Um, I think it's important for artists in these moments of like struggle to create. Um, and in that way inspire the world.
Hmm.
Artists are so important because they also create the ability for us to explore every possibility and create a new world with our art. And so I would say that that's probably my biggest goal,
Hmm.
to let people know that even if you may not see this for yourself now, um, it's still possible.
Definitely. I agree. Well, Pablo, how can one stay up to date with you the best?
You can follow me on my social media handles, Instagram mainly at him.nyc, and myself personally at PLeonCO.
Okay, perfect. And how can one find out more information about the TransLatin Coalition?
You can visit their website at the TransLatin Coalition and their Instagrams at the TransLatin Coalition. You can find out more about upcoming events, and there's still time. I'm not sure if this is coming out before the show, but there's still time
We'll
to
see.
get your tickets.
We'll see how soon I can get it up. Yes.
Yeah.
But if it's past the date, then people have something to look forward to next year.
Yeah, definitely. And that's exactly it. We hope that this event continues for many more years.
Yes.
And really support the work that the TransLatin Coalition is doing. I think it's like I mentioned before, it's so important for us to support these organizations. And being one of the largest trans-led organizations in the entire country is huge, and led by two amazing women, Maria Roman and Babi Salcedo, who I have personally seen them do amazing work. Babi actually came to support an organization that I was involved with here in Fresno and helped us raise over $10,000 for this new organization. So I am so happy to have met Bambi and to now be supporting them in this way.
Yes, definitely. Well, Pablo, before we wrap up, are there any other upcoming projects or anything else you'd like to mention or plug at this time?
I think right now I'm looking forward to getting this out there. I'm looking forward to making the statement with GARRAS 2024. Making the statement of we're not going anywhere, we're here to stay, and you can't erase us. After this, I will be taking a little bit of a break. But the fight isn't over, and I'm just going to be continuing my work with whether it's with him NYC or with a different project. I know that this is never going to be over for me. So
Perfect. Fantastic.